or someone approaching them with the topic. So I guess I haven't seen it, but I don't want to live in a community where we're not civil to one another, so I want to make sure we stay that way.
And then the next question, the order will be Mr. Alan Schultz, then Mr. Jason Woody, and then Mr. Mike Keefe. The question is, what are your plans for city parks?
That's a good question, because the first city park's open since I've lived here in 6.5 years. It's kind of nice to see it. It take a development to get it in. I would like to see more off-road trails that connect our community together, both rural and urban, so the people that are moving into our community, living in a development, can see how great the rural part of our town is and what we like about that. Parks are for the future, you know. My kids are grown, they're not going to use a city park, but other people out here have kids and they want that. People have grandkids out here, they want to get to play in those parks. I want to see a park system we can be proud of 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road for future generations.
Okay, and Mr. Jason Woody?
I think parks are real crucial, especially for young ones to grow up and families to raise their kids out here. I remember playing at the Corcoran Park in the late 80s as a kid, you know, and then I did see it kind of go vacant or dormant for, you know, half a dozen years or so, close to 10 years, and I'm slowly starting to see it come back and come alive between, you know, acquiring the new land on County Road 50 to putting in the Three Rivers Parks Trail that goes from, I believe, 55 all the way to 117. That too stayed vacant for a while, but as it's grown on people and this community has gotten bigger, I see it utilized substantially, exponentially. The traffic on the parks and the trails increases, and I like to see that because I think it's important to keep those core values and allow your family to grow up somewhere in a safe community that you can let your kids go at the park and not have to worry about them not coming home.
Okay, and Mr. Mike?
Parks is pretty important to me since I have 3 young kids, and being a part of the sports and parks of this community is a wonderful thing that we take part of. Great soccer programs, great baseball programs, and in the winter, every time you drive by that hockey rink, it's packed. So we took advantage of a great opportunity to buy that park land from the Rockford School District, and as the Parks Commission continues to look at how they want that to lay out, you know, the need for sports in this community is continuing to grow, and it's going to keep growing. And if we didn't do something soon, those programs are going to go away. One thing I want to talk about is the funding. We made the decision as a council, and I know it's a debatable one, that we preserve some of the park fund when we purchased that. One thing I want to explain why is we had to spend some money on a new city park we built in the Ravinia development, that is now complete. And we also needed to reserve some funds to actually do something with the park. We needed to put the park infrastructure in. We needed to build the park. We couldn't buy the land and sit on it for 30 years. We needed that money for that reason. It's important that everyone knows that.
Okay. Now, for the next question, we will have the order be Mr. Jason Woody, then Mr. Mike Keefe, and then Mr. Alan Schultz. And it is, how will you balance taxes and spending with growth?
That's a difficult question to answer. I don't think one person has the answer. I definitely don't. I don't have quite the experience in that background to the magnitude of balancing a city budget and while in conjunction with the growth. I think we would defer it to the elected officials or the other officials working for the city government that specialize in that they are here for that particular reason. And I think in conjunction with consulting with them and consulting with the community and consulting with the local city government, I think that's the best way to achieve a successful plan.
Okay, and then Ms. Mackey?
Always a balance, but conservative spending, that's important. And you need to watch it. Money comes in, money goes out. Don't spend more than you make. But one thing we need to do as we add rooftops, that's going to raise our tax base. And then we need to use that opportunity to parlay into the commercial tax development. That's where we're going to start to tip the scale, where our revenue coming in is going to exceed our expenditures going out. We really need to develop opportunities for commercial to raise the money coming into the city. Conservative spending and raise the commercial tax base. I mean, that's kind of in a nutshell.
Okay, Mr. Alan Schultz?
And we need to make sure that we don't overspend based on our growth projections. And one thing we have to remember is growth isn't permanent. We have a downturn in the economy. It's bound to happen again at some point, so we need to make sure we don't dig ourselves in a hole with spending in the future. So we need to be really conservative and watch what we spend our money on. And the spending that we do take in from growth, you know, that's good, but we got to make sure our spending doesn't inhibit the residents that are already here. I mean, we shouldn't be burdened with the additional dollars it takes for the growth in the city. So it's really all about conservative spending and watching our budgets.
Okay, and for the next question, the order will be Mr. Mike Keefe, then Mr. Alan Schultz, and then Mr. Jason Woody. The question is, what do you see as the biggest priorities Corcoran faces in the next 5 years?
Wow, controlling growth. Within the NUSA, we obviously have a large amount of housing developments coming in, which is going to increase infrastructure needs. So as these housing developments continue to grow, we're going to have more needs for water, sewer. Those are the things we're going to have to watch out for. We talked about fire service earlier. That's going to be front and center. The community is going to grow. That's inevitable at this point. Priorities beyond that, I look at probably our school districts are going to have to make some decisions. The community is going to grow. Do we make decisions at some point in time, 5-10 years from now, to start looking at putting a school in Corcoran? Those are some of the big picture topics that I think that'll come up. Schools are probably one of them. Thank you.
Okay, and now Mr. Alan Schultz.
Yeah, the biggest priorities in the next 5 years will be continued growth on the eastern side of the metro, or on the eastern side of Corcoran. You know, people don't want to see us become Maple Grove, but you know, we're developing 400 homes down in Lennar and another 400 homes up in Bellwether on Corpolte addition, plus some additional growth out here on Highway 10. It's how do we manage that growth? With that growth, we're going to have added traffic on our roads. How are we going to deal with that? How are we going to deal with the traffic that's coming in from other communities coming down, cutting through on 116 and 19 from St. Michael and Hanover and Rogers and everybody else that cuts through our city? And also, how are we going to deal with the growth in our commercial district? Those are some of the biggest things that I see. If we add a fire department, that's another hot topic on there. But it's continued development in the eastern side.
Okay, thanks. And Mr. Jason Woody?
I agree with both gentlemen to my left once again. I think growth, obviously everybody knows growth is here. You can't push off development, nor should you. I think it's imperative that our infrastructure can handle the amount of growth, the amount of production and increase of traffic that we have. How is that going to affect these small dirt roads that rarely see any traffic, be it Kelp Road or Bechtold Road or some dirt roads out on the southwest side of Corcoran? We have to make sure that if we develop, we have ways to handle the traffic, we have ways to get emergency services to the necessary areas at the time. Growth is here. We got to make sure traffic is controllable. We have to have infrastructure for basic communication, internet, data, everything like that for this technological world.
Okay, now this is going to be the last question. The order will be Mr. Jason Woody, then Mr. Mike Keefe, and then Mr. Alan Schultz. And it is there an issue that has not been discussed that you would like to talk about?
I think we did a pretty well-rounded gamut of all the issues that I see in the community and that I hear from fellow citizens out here. like we say, the major ones are just growth, infrastructure. How is that going to impact the community? Is it going to take away from what we are and who we are and what makes us Corcoran? I think we hit all the subjects that need to be talked about.
Okay, and go ahead, Mr. Markey.
One thing that didn't come up tonight that we talk about a lot currently in the city council is the downtown district. And as this community continues to grow, how do we define what we all call our rural character and what we have grown to love about Corcoran, and kind of accept that there is some growth and some bleed over from other cities coming in. One thing we talk about is a downtown area where we have farmers markets and an area where people can go and get breakfast, coffee shops. I think that's important. It's been part of our conversation for a long time. We just updated our comp plan, and looking down the line, future 30 years, 40 years from now, how can we best plan for the inevitable that's going to happen in this community? Might not happen next year, might not happen 5 years from now, but eventually it's going to keep coming west. I think that's something that's important for us all to consider.
Okay, and Mr. Alan Schultz.
Yeah, I think we did, the questions were pretty good from the audience. I think we did a pretty good job, but growth as it spills over into the more rural districts in Corcoran is probably one of the things we need to think about. I mean, we're talking about building rights, and we're talking about OS&P development, how we're going to cluster communities for future growth, but yet maintaining this rural character that we all love. You know, are we going to maintain have the ability to still have snowmobile trails or maybe horse trails in the future, or things like that. Those are things I think we need to really look hard at.
Okay, perfect, and congratulations on getting the questions. Now we will do a reverse alphabetical order for the closing statement. So let's go ahead and start with you, Mr. Jason Woody.
Well, I just want to thank everybody once again for coming here and getting involved in the community and listening to what I have to say. Obviously, I'm one of the youngest ones here and may not have all the experience that they do, but I've been hearing a lot in the community that there's need for new blood in the city government, and it's not to say that the blood there now is bad. I think it's crucial to have, whether it's the labor market or the workforce or city government, to have young crops coming up. Have someone that's young enough where they're able to be taught, they're a blank canvas, or able to be taught some of the ways of how city government works, and they can carry the torch, I guess, take over the torch as the government ages or decides to resign or retire or whatever. I think it's a great opportunity for me, and I'm extremely excited to be a part of this, and hopefully I'll be able to be on the city council so I can help make decisions that keeps Corcoran a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Alan Schultz.
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. Thank the League of Women Voters, the City of Corcoran, for putting on these events. This is a great event for the community to get to know all the candidates and where we stand. I'd still like to thank Woody for pointing out that I'm the oldest one on the panel here. Please don't hold that against me. I'd like the opportunity to continue to serve the people of Corcoran. I've done the last 4.5 years on the Planning Commission. I'd love to do it another 4 years for you guys on the City Council. So that's all I really have to say. Thank you.
And Ms. Franke.
Likewise, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. I know it's cold and rainy and we're all sick of that, but thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event tonight, and the city for helping out. Like everyone, I'm just out here trying to do my best for the community I live in, and I hope you guys vote for me and give me the opportunity to continue to serve you. Look forward to talking to any of you offline. Feel free to, I'll hang out tonight. If you want to talk to me after the fact, feel free to come on up. Thank you for coming out.
Okay, and this does conclude the Corcoran City Council Candidate Forum. Let's go ahead and thank the candidates with our applause.